When the word credibility came up and you were a bit surprised, I wasn't, because I think at the heart of everything about the RSPO is credibility, and at the heart of that credibility is our standard. What can the RSPO do to make credibility more real? Well, I guess the question I would ask is, what more hasn't it done? Because it has done a huge amount around that standard to make it credible to everybody in the supply chain. What we have is 8 principles, of which number 8 is all about continuous improvement. And that's really at the spirit of RSPO, this continuous improvement. So one of the things, to answer your question, that we can be doing is to take not just the principles, not just the criteria which surround those pillars and strengthen them, and not just the auditable indicators, but to look at the 4th component of the standard, which is the guidance. Because many of the innovative ideas which didn't quite make it into the indicators now reside in that guidance.
So from the consumer side, things are moving. We were really pleased to hear this morning from the Alliance for Sustainable Palm Oil that in France the agribusiness, agro-industrial sector is moving, and is moving not against RSPO, is taking a RSPO linked commitment, but which go beyond RSPO, since Guillaume formulated very clearly in the sense that they want deforestation-free and peatland conversion-free palm oil. So I think that's the inspirational and relatively short-term ambition we all need to have, and which is achievable.
What we see currently is what's commonly referred to in the NGO community as the Banana Republic syndrome. You go to the Chiquita head office and you read their policies, their environmental policies, their social policies, and you get tears in your eyes because they're beautiful. You go down to the field in Central America and you get tears in your eyes because of what you see in reality. And I think that's the challenge that we're still facing within RSPO. The land is a crucial element in a lot of agricultural supply chains and a lot of sustainability challenges that we're facing there. We would be quite crazy to move large palm oil volumes to other vegetable oils, sunflower, rapeseed, soy, or even olive oil, because the land efficiency of palm oil is very significantly larger. And therefore the simple approach that we should continue to strive for is replacing palm oil by sustainable palm oil. And I think that's the very simple message that we should be spreading as RSPO to these audiences, and these audiences to their colleagues and to their competitor colleagues even, or their suppliers. Replace palm oil by sustainable palm oil.
One of the biggest challenges facing the part of the world, Indonesia, Malaysia, is to balance conservation and the need to develop society. Now the growers has actually found a middle path, what we call sustainability. Now this has actually gone through the forum, the roundtable forum of RSPO. Now in the last 10 years, in fact, the members of RSPO and as well as the executive board has been working very hard actually to make the RSPO a credible organization. I think on how to enhance the credibility or to maintain the credibility and enhance it by the growers' responsibility, in my view, there were actually 3 aspects that the growers can contribute. I think the RSPO principle and criteria is very holistic, comprehensive, and of course there are comments from stakeholders, and I think members should take the comments to incorporate into their sustainability strategy. And also maybe do beyond what the RSPO mandatory requirement. I mean the RSPO PNC is a basic requirements and all that for members to comply and to help members to implement these sustainability practices. And of course, growers can do more than that. Yeah. So that's a way that I think we can sort of enhance the credibility of a CSPO.
Someone once said the RSPO is the imperfect solution. And I really like that. I really like that because there's no way to have the perfect solution. So it's good to be the imperfect solution because we can always use principle 8 and keep continuous improving. And when some NGOs or some producers decide to get together and try to show that it's possible to do a little bit more, we're just doing what we see in our common lives.
But I think there's also a challenge to the RSPO to do as much as it can rather than get away with as little as it has to. And I think it needs to focus much more on bringing transparency. That was one of the words that we started off the morning session with, about exactly who is doing well and who isn't doing well. Because we are in a situation, and we've seen it today, where one perspective is that the entire industry is terrible. Another perspective that was presented today was the entire industry is great. But neither of those is true. There are good and there are bad performers. And I think, again, a challenge to the growers, to the RSPO, to name the people who are doing well and name the people who are doing badly. And I think that's very important. And although we are talking about the growers in this session, I think those challenges should also be placed on the rest of the supply chain. And I think we've heard some great things today about the sorts of commitments that people are making, but the reality is the action is still not matching that commitment.
The creation of the RSPO in 2004, formally that is, has contributed to this positive transformation. I can vouch for that. And through this multi-stakeholder platform, industries players along the value chain are actually guided by the code of conduct for operational transparency, compliance with applicable law, which is national and ratified international law and regulation, as well as conservation of natural capital and biodiversity. RSPO actually is the only standard that compels its member to certify their units. And RSPO members cannot certify only certain units, and they will have to certify all the units. This is very unique about RSPO, and it is not an easy task. That's why it has become a global standard.